mics are hot right now. Testing 1, 2. Okay, there's my mic. Mics are hot, and Darren was supposed to do a freestyle, but he reneged on it. Then Jay was about to do a freestyle. He didn't do it, so
the mic's hot,
1, 2, 3. 1, 2. You know how you set up like you ready to do something and you don't do nothing. You're
right,
like,
you set up.
I'm feeling it.
Set me up, yo. Set me up, yo. Set me up. You set up.
What's up? Yo. I'm about to get in. I'm about to get in like this. I'm about to. You ain't did nothing yet. Talk about what you about to do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Thursday. And it is between Sundays. Yes, it's a day after hump day, but once again, it is a Thursday morning. We got over, I hate that word, hump day. Best commercial was the one with the camel. He was like, guess what day it is? It's hump day.
Hump day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again with the one and only Darian Brister and Jay Morris. Joel, what's going on? You are on the YouTube side. Yes, that is my YouTube. So welcome to YouTube people on this side. Between Sundays, YouTube will be going soon. But right now, you can find us on Facebook if you're on Facebook. And those on the YouTube side, you know Keith Pelzer is the combos over there. Welcome. We are about to get into this conversation. We're excited on today. This is what we do on Thursdays. Just getting started. We are in the neophyte stages of this, but you do not have amateurs in the room with me. These are two people that know what they be talking about. We don't know everything, but they're friends and brothers of many great musicians. They are awesome in their own right, individually and collectively. And we basically represent a field of people who are just awesome in what we do. All right. That's right. See, y'all behind me. And I got to get y'all out of the focus because that joint be bokeh. So ignore the two guys behind me and only see me, you dumb camera. I'm fixing it right now. Darren, why don't you go ahead and take it away there, sir? Let me put you on there.
All right, welcome back. Between Sundays, episode 5. Again, this is a platform where we offer perspectives of the modern church, ministry, operation, and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship arts and multimedia personnel. Glad to have you all with us. Shouting out a few people I see in the room already. John Turner, Sean Bobian. Thanks for jumping in. So, last week was interesting. But before we recap, I want to take a block to hit a few comments from previous episodes that we did not get a chance to acknowledge. And this one, Jay, I want to throw this one to you first. This was from Pastor Pete Morgan.
Yeah.
His comment was, there are many of us looking for the opportunity to establish covenant, and we're not looking to repeat the hurt. Some of us really do care, and us being a representation of pastors. Your thoughts, Jay?
Honestly, man, I truly believe that there are pastors out there that really do want to make a better change, a better difference, because not all pastors are muddy grubbers.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them have bad intentions concerning singers,
Mm-hmm.
praise teams, musicians. Some of them actually have the heart for people.
Yeah.
And of course, most of them don't wear a sign on their head to say, okay, I do have a heart for people, or this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you knew what was going to happen, you would stay away.
Mm-hmm.
So now there is a what Pete says, you're asking now to have a mutual trust.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with that is, just like in any relationship, you have to go through a few in order to get something good.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very uncertain that you're going to find a pastor like that.
Yeah.
The first try.
There you go.
Very uncertain. Matter of fact, I'd probably say it's a 90% chance you won't.
Yeah. And you might be being generous when you say 90.
Exactly. And the reason why is because that is not it's been so overcomplicated through the years of something so simple.
Yeah.
And that it's turned into an ugly battle.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
So Pastor Pete, I applaud you, man. It can be fixed. The relationship between musician and pastor, singer, pastor, praise and worship leader, whatever you are, it can be fixed. It's just the simple complication of who can you trust? Because everybody does not share that part of them until you are tenured, as we said last week.
Yeah.
And you have earned that part of them. Like anybody else, they're going to be guarded. Not many pastors come off with saying, hey, listen, let's go ahead and let's talk. I don't want to know. I don't need to know how much you want to make.
Yeah.
Show me how you want to be in life. Let's talk about that. How do you want to grow? What is your 5-year plan? What is your 10-year plan? What does your credit look like? Maybe I can't pay you what you need to be paid, but I can help you with your credit.
Yeah.
I can help you grow.
Yeah.
I can help you get that house you're looking for. Or that vehicle so you can get back and forth, you can stop taking the bus.
Yeah.
There's other ways to show that, hey, listen, I have a heart for you. You know, and it's a heart of Christ to be able to share with you the heart that I have.
Yeah.
And not look. And I have to be honest, a lot of us, we make that a part of how we are portrayed.
Yeah.
But a lot of us, they have good musicians out there, and a lot of us, we want to for real, let's be honest. You're just playing.
Yep.
You're playing. You're getting your check, and you're rolling. That's like, you know, okay, you got a girlfriend, you hit it, you roll. I gotta take it there. I don't desire to have a relationship with you.
Yeah. No romance.
No romance.
No wine and dine.
No wine and dine. I'm just gonna do what I need to do, and I'm gonna be out. And that is not the way to build anything. You want to build? I appreciate you, Pastor Pete, for that comment. Yes, there are pastors out there that do want that. The only thing is trying to find them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, if I can respond to the comment, man,
Go ahead, man.
I'm with you. I applaud you, Pastor Morgan. I applaud you, and I applaud the others that are out there that have a similar heart, and their words and actions line up with each other. I applaud that, because there are many others out there. All right. I think the biggest thing to be careful with is that, and it's the easiest way I can say it, that we don't wear our past experiences on our sleeves. And that's both sides.
Yeah.
That's musician or music personnel and pastor.
Right.
You can't. wearing your past experiences on your sleeve, they are in weapon position.
That's right.
If they're on their sleeve, they're in weapon position to be used at a drop of a dime.
Yep.
At a drop of a dime. And what does that get in the way of? It gets in the way of grace.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's good.
I like it.
It gets in the way of grace. So each side, both sides, we have to be careful. And let me add this. We have to start to learn.
Yes.
Not to wear our past experiences on our sleeve.
Yes.
We have to learn that, because again, you're not going to position yourself to be connected with the right people. You're not going to position yourself to be connected with the right people if that's how you approach and make your moves.
Right.
You're just not. But again, I applaud you, sir, and I applaud the other pastors out there, which there are many,
Yes.
that have a similar stance, and again, their words and their actions line up. I think when we have, because we have some guests lined up, and I think one of those guests is going to be able to illustrate sometimes how the pastor, in many instances, can be made out to be the bad guy, even though they're not, because of other factors and other systems of control that really are out of the hands of the pastor in many instances.
Talk about it.
That is something that I don't want to get swept under the rug. That those are instances where there are others that are in the real driver's seat because of how the church built their protocol and bylaws. Let me use this word.
Right.
Because of how that was done, they're not even in the position to make the decisions that they should be, and then they're also made out to be the bad guy, as if they did make the dirty decision and they didn't. So I want to throw that out there as well. Pels, you got anything to add?
Actually, so I mean, I'll just add this piece right here. Relationship. So this is a direction that I'm just going to push, that I think that we don't really focus on that much. It's kind of like when you say, I saw a post that said, so everybody agrees or doesn't agree with generational curse, right? So somebody wants to be real spiritually deep. I get their perspective on it is a thing. And to others like me, I get where it's like, I believe there's a thing that's talked about, but I don't believe in it, as if it has a power that is so significant that we can recognize it, where you have to do something miraculous or magicianry to knock it off. It's call it the freak out. It's kind of like saying there's a generational curse of rape or killing or X, Y, and Z or cheating and stuff. It's like, no, it's called you just cheated. Like, it's not a generational curse, right?
Yeah.
It's an enablement and an allowance, and it's not addressed, right? It's almost like it's a generational street curse or something. No, it's called dig into the programs that help get the kids off the street. It's a choice, right? So one of the things that I see happening over and over again is where we never stop and say the ministry, right? I said this last week. If word and music, so Jill Scott, our album, Words and Sounds. Literally, that's what church is. It's words and sound, right? The attack on the sound in Daniel. Bow down when you hear the sound, right? A movement to the sound. David dancing, playing the whole David dance sound. But then there's in the beginning, John 1, the word, right? So you got words and sounds. If the preacher's doing word and the musicians are providing sound, they have to be connected. And the connection is what Jay said about relationship. It's what Darian's saying about relationship. And it does boil down into the concern about, yo, why was you late? Oh, because I had to ride a bike. It's like, why you riding a bike? We pay you pretty good. Oh, I got a situation going. Okay, there's resources in the congregation to make sure you can get from a bucket to a Bentley. Like what's the problem here? But that comes in relationship. And if the musician makes it just give me my check, I'm good, pay me what I'm worth, and I'm out the door, well, you avoid relationship. And then if the preacher is acting like I'm so up here and you're just a janitor, employee, somebody, then you don't have relationship. So it's like the more you build relationship and we're all in together, like me, when I started ministry again, I don't want to pull on anybody that's not in. Right? That if you can't sit down and eat with me and my wife, you and your wife can't sit and eat with me and my wife, this might not be a good look. Right? I'm talking no church, whatever. If we put wine on the table, that don't work for you. This ministry may not work for you in this position because I don't want to be a different person outside of the sanctuary.
That's right.
Right? I just don't want to be. And that takes relationship, not just passing you a check, because the way I affect people, you are sharing the same platform with me, affecting people. So if we don't have a relationship, there's a problem there. So that's all I really got to add on it for now. We just began this this hour, and I don't want to hijack it with it, but I am all about relationship.
Yes, sir. All right, next comment. And this was right smack in the middle of our discussion in regards to the tenured versus the skilled, or the tenured versus the expertise. Dale Sharp Lee, Mom Lee, she says, is understanding the church considered tenure or talent/skill? Now, that's a great question. And for me, my answer is going to be, it depends.
I totally apologize. Mics were not on. I apologize. It's probably coming. Okay. We got to run back whatever y'all didn't hear.
No problem. All right. So
my bad.
So let's
run it back.
No problem. So let's go back. The comment from previous episode, Dale Sharpley, she asked, is understanding the church considered tenure or talent or skill? Is understanding the church considered something that you probably will only be able to do if you're tenured, or is that something that takes a skill and a talent? My answer was, it depends on who you ask.
Right.
If you're asking most from the church lens, the assumption a lot of times is that the skilled and the talent person, they don't have a good understanding for church, for ministry, spiritual things, proper theology, doctrinal things. The assumption a lot of times is the skilled and the talent don't have the understanding and even aren't interested in that part. Pels, you picked it up from there.
Okay, so once again, I'm sorry I wasn't watching over here. Thank you, folks. The mute was on. We apologize. I was mentioning tenure. You want me to jump on that, Darren?
Yeah.
So, okay, tenure and talent, especially for the Baptist church. A lot of people, a lot of times, okay, in many Baptist churches, not all. I'm speaking on this because I know it. They'll look for talent, right? Get the talent in and throw their tenure on the talent.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than allow themselves to build around the talent that you were looking for in the first place. And what ends up happening is the tenureship actually suppresses the talent gets frustrated, and the talent rolls out. Then you're stuck with tenure to tenure. The tenure people most of the time are stuck in their old ways. All they know is that one hymn. They know those 3-finger chords. And you want more because you're chasing what you see on the internet. So you want more. So you have to get talent to get more because you can't trust the tenure. The tenure is more so, I've done it for so long, and if I wasn't a progressive doing it person. So somebody like us three in this room, or like, I'm gonna speak for me, I had a progressive tenureship because I was always checking out talent and bringing the talent into my tenure, right? Where you have tenure that are so trusted in their tenure that they never recognize, or they dismiss talent because they're comfortable in their tenure. And so some of the issues is that we struggle with, we're tainted with our tenure so much that we're trying to grab the talent just to upgrade ourselves. But when we get the talent, I'm repeating myself, we keep throwing the tenure over the talent. So a lot of times is people have to realize that in most cases, the talent is what people want. But if you're bringing the talent, you got to know if you're going to a place that rides off a tenure that doesn't respect your talent. Right? Because if not, you're taking your talent into a tenureship idea mentality. And in that tenureship idea mentality, they're going to suppress your talent. And then you're going to lose ground. So this is how it all boils together with relationship. The connection is to find out, I trust tenure, but does tenure respect and recognize my talent so that we can grow together? The main question is, where is this going? And then how can I add value to you? Right? Yeah. Because if I'm asking how I add value to you, then you're telling me how you're adding value to where I'm already going. Yeah. And that always involves relationship. It's never one of those, hey, we like a ship without a sail and we need your talent to get this rolling, and then we're going to take the wheel back. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. Go for it, fella.
Yeah. But again, for me, it you'll get a different answer depending on who you ask. You get it, whether or not that is, understanding church is something that only the tenured can do versus only the skilled and talent can do it. The goal is we understand each other versus, a segregated mindset.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Jay?
So let's try another point to that. What if the tenured is also a musician? I've been in certain situations growing up where you would have someone that's 70 years old that's been playing in that ministry. They're tenured and talented. And they play for no money at all. But they've been there 70-something years. Yeah. Ever since they were born, they've been raised in that church. And here you come saying, okay, I think these ideas would work. Yeah. And the pastor now refers, well, Sister so-and-so did it for 50 years this way. So now she's musical, or he is musical. They've been there so long. Yeah. What do you say to now make that same argument with the tenured but skilled, who's been there so long and does not charge at all.
So this is something that I hit on in episode 2. So I forget the construct of the conversation, but this is what I said. I said that there are many that, matter of fact, now I remember. Okay, someone had made a comment about. They said the church, a lot of times they confuse the free volunteer from the paid skill set. That was the comment. My response to that was, in addition to that, which I agree with, in addition, some churches don't confuse it. What they do is they try to get the paid skill set at the free volunteer rate.
Right.
And that's how they operate a lot of facets of the church. Now, to what you just said, this was what I said in that episode. I said, there are many that have a skill set that, warrants fair compensation. And they decide for themselves that they want to operate for their church at the free volunteer rate.
Right.
They make that decision. And I have no issue with that.
Right.
Here's my issue. My issue is when their decision is weaponized against others with a skill set who request fair compensation.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
As if, watch this, as if us asking for fair compensation is somehow blocking our own blessing.
Right.
It's somehow getting in the way.
Right.
So to what you said, it's okay. That was their choice. That was their method and their approach.
Right.
That does not mean that should be applicable to not only everybody, but every situation and every era.
Right. And remember, if they've been playing there that long, that was a different era of church. A different time, a different attitude towards ministry. 50s and 60s, it was unheard of for you to get paid for even pastors.
Yeah.
It was unheard of for you to get paid for anything in the church. It was, first of all, you go into 50 something about somebody's mega church, they're like, what's that?
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we've grown to know now wasn't even heard of 45, 50 years ago. So yeah, like I understand what you're saying, because I'm like, they've been in there that long.
Yeah,
they've been playing because they love the Lord. They do that because of the love for the church and the love for the ministry, their love for the growth of the church. But you're right, that has no bearing on what you should do.
Yeah. Because
they brought you in.
Yeah, and again, it's the because they did it because they love the Lord. Again, what is then positioned to someone who chooses a different path is then positioned. Okay, you got less faith,
right? Or you don't.
You got a faith problem,
right?
When no, that's not necessarily the case. Right. I mean, if let's take it Bible. If we read the parable of the talents, everybody didn't get the same amount of talents.
Right. Exactly.
So I got a question for y'all.
Yeah, man.
I'm looking at ministries, right? And a ministry I was at Sunday, awesome ministry. And what gets me is looking at how can I say this? Is looking at how do we determine what is voluntary, right, and what is necessary to pay for? So this gets tricky, right? This gets real tricky. All right, let me set this up. I don't want the dead space here, but I'm just trying to think it over. And there's no direct answer for it, because I like what Patrice said. Shout out to Patrice. They got an event going on tonight. I don't mind saying something about it. It's going to be at Small House. I unfortunately cannot make that. I want to make it. I would get there by 9. If I got there, it's over at 10. But we'll you can put the link in the comments section. We don't mind. But here's what I'm going to say. It gets tricky because shout out to Tremaine Dunlap, Timothy Mitchell, and Keith Pelzer. Because we were family musicians.
Yeah.
Right? And because my late Aunt Sandy was the lead singer, my Aunt Diane, Aunt Yvonne, my sister, myself, we're the whole singing unit.
Yeah.
Our church had extra money because we weren't paying the money out, because we covered the basis of what you came to church for.
Yeah.
I mean, people shouting and dancing themselves silly, and we are honing in on our skills and just playing and playing and playing. And one day the trustee's like, yo, do you know the musician at, matter of fact, it was at 6 and Gerard. They had a fellowship and talking, and down there it was like, yeah, they paid the musician X amount of dollars. And it was like, we give Keith a love offering.
Yeah.
So they started paying me. Now here's the good and the bad of it. I was like, dang, thank you. Now I was already tenured to where I had built myself on not relying on that.
Yeah.
And my skill set on the way I was trained with money was, this is extra, not needed for survival. Right? So now I never grew up looking at it as I need that money.
Yeah.
Right? Because of what I'm doing. It's understood as, if this is what you want to do, you want to demand more on me, then yes, I'm going to need you to start paying for it. So when you're asking me to get these songs ready for this Sunday, take your time out and study these songs, here was the problem. It's now conflicting with my studio work.
Yeah.
So now I have to sacrifice, and the stuff that I was buying at the time, I had to buy stuff to slow down the music back with the tapes when you could, slow it down so I can learn parts, teach the parts, write them out, chart them out. I'm going to Staples.
Yeah.
That's money. Now we're not really volunteering no more. This is actually becoming more so like work. So the thing now becomes, yes, I agree with what Patrice said, worthy of their hire. But the conflict starts to come in when you look at all the other parts of the church. So you got churches now that lease spaces out, and you have to set up the chairs. So we rely on the members to set all the chairs up. We rely on the ushers to volunteer, get the water, pass the water out. Cleaning crews, sometimes they volunteer. Watch where I'm going, y'all. Then you got the soundmen a lot of times, until we started upgrading these sound systems. Oh, all you doing is pushing faders. Why are we paying that person? But when you understand, just like I did on this broadcast, you can forget the mute, but you need, okay? And you got the microphones, remember the batteries, go past Wawa, get the 9 volts and all of that. Set up early, break down afterwards. Everybody's not on payroll. So at this point, what is service? Right? If everybody is getting paid. And then how do we differentiate the pay on stuff? So I think and I'm not throwing an answer here, I'm just throwing a little bit of a disruptness here. We have to, that's why you have to define, this is what their job entails. And then you look at it and say, if they don't do this, what does the church look like? Right? Because you may get people to say, I don't mind taking chairs down. Cool. The musician that's getting paid might say, I'll put the chairs up because I'm doing body workout. So you don't have to pay somebody for that. But can somebody from the congregation, if the musician walks out, can somebody from the congregation say, I'll do that? No. That's how you start to define, right? The why and the what. And it makes sense, and we can be transparent. You don't have to know what the musician's actual pay is, but you should know, yes, we are paying them because this is what we're requiring of them.
Correct.
All right.
And I'm glad you put this out, because we'll probably have to start next week with it. There's no way we can answer this in a 10 or 15 minute segment. I will say this. And I've said this before on our episodes. I've said some things are black and white, other things are not black and white, because there's way too many different nuances from church to church. Way too many different nuances. And to your point, Pels, in terms of starting to, identify that, also know that even as we take the steps to identify it, not everybody's going to agree.
Of course.
Even when it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Even when it makes a lot of sense, not everybody's going to agree. Go ahead.
Well, Darren, it goes back to what you and Jay were talking about before. Relationship is everything because it's clear.
Yeah.
I talked to a pastor that said, listen, I'm going to be honest. My musicians even know that I'm not paying them technically what they're worth. So this pastor recognized I got great musicians here, and I'm sitting there looking like, damn, they real talented. Like they're dope, right? And you in your brain, you start to get to a point like a guy like that's gonna cost you like $400, $450 a Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Just for an hour and a half service or something. Like you can't deny. I had a bass player. I'm gonna leave that person's name out, but a bass player was like, yo, who playing for you? And I'm like, I had somebody, but then I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I said, I run key bass. Now they knew who they was talking to, right? You talking to Keith Pell's a left-handed guy.
Yeah.
Bass running through a bass amp on the MIDI, right? And I was like, I'll be running bass. And I got Trevion with me, and they was like, oh, yo, I'll come and play bass for you. And I'm like, all right, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I called them up, was like, yo, I may need you. I was like, just so I can talk to my trustees. Like, what's your number?
Yep.
This bass player told me $450. I was like, you out your damn mind. Like $450. Like,
now,
bruh. And listen, I got 150 members max. And I get it. And I didn't say it to him on the basis of you're not worth that. But based off of the relationship and looking at my ministry at the time and understanding my left hand don't need you. Yeah. And when Ali was coming and playing, Smirk was coming, Paris is coming, I'm running bass key just to have fun. Yeah. Right? So it's kind of like, I don't need a bass. Yeah. So at this point, I'm looking like, if you sitting on your behind and you trying to get some pickup money, you throwing $450 at me? Yeah. Like, because that's what you going to ask at Sharon. You going to ask that at E9 or something more for a ministry that got 3,000 members. Yeah. You're talking to me. This is relationship. Yep. I easily got you on the 200, but 450. My trustees is like, you out your daggone mind.
Save that for red flags.
Yep.
Save that for red flags.
But Jay, you feel what I'm talking about? Relationship wise, if I needed y'all would look at me almost like, we know you gonna do the best you can. So if Keith come with a ridiculous number, either you just gotta say that's not gonna work, or you be like, okay. And you not talking about it. Right? Yeah. But now let's just say I'm like, yo, I'm gonna start a new ministry, and you know, this is the first Sunday opening up, and I'm like, yo, I give everybody $100. Now you see 1,000 people come rolling up in that building, you're gonna be looking like, I think we need to go out for coffee or something. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not mad about it, because if we had a relationship, it goes back to Felix Morgan. Relationship wise, when I was at his church, I had a sidebar conversation like, dog, this musician corner is killing it. Yeah. But I'm in here preaching, it's 20 people here. Yep. Ain't no way. No. Yep. Y'all fight me on, I'm getting off camera. Ain't no way. So at that point, I'm just like, somebody's not being straightforward. Yeah. Right? Or I'm looking like, this is my give, right? This is my give, and this is where I'm gleaning your tenureship, your leadership. So I'll do it at a divine discount. Yeah.
I like that. I mean,
you like what I said? A divine discount, right? Yeah. Because here, I play for Pastor James Moore. I'm pastoring now, right? And this is a perfect example of meet halfway. I'm gonna leave all the information out, but Pastor James Moore, shout out to him, Second Mount Zion, they said, yo, Pels, I need a musician. I was like, cool. And I was like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, what's y'all bag? I didn't say bag, but I was like, what is it? Because I'm like, I'm just speaking the language. Certain cats ain't gonna ask, they not gonna answer unless you paying at least this baseline. Yeah. And they said, well, we putting out this much, but if they as good as you and they understand the tenureship of the church and their talent can match the tenureship, right? we'll pay this.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I'll take the job. So, right, because it was good pick up. Listen, I'll be transparent, y'all. At the time, royalty checks was slow and everything. I was like, cool. You know what? What time y'all service over there? Oh, we only need you for the 7 o'clock service. So I played at the 7. I knew I was out the door at 9, and I went over and pastored my church.
Yeah.
Now, here where I'm going with this, y'all. I needed that, and it felt the need for that time.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew they were willing to add on more because I displayed the tenure, understanding, and the talent.
Mm-hmm.
And so they compensated for that.
Yeah.
And so if you understand tenure and talent, and then you have a relationship, then everything works out. And then when it was time for me to leave, because I'm like, yo, the church is rolling, it's time to go, I helped them set up to get somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made it understood the next person that they got, here's what the pay is, and here's what's required. So before you say yes, can you meet these needs?
Yeah.
Boom.
So listen, we gotta move. But y'all gotta tune in next week so we can put a lot more meat on that bone.
Mm-hmm.
A whole lot more. Quick shout out, Shelly Silverman, the Irvin Fryer Sr., Joel Douglas, Daniel L., William Davis III, Michael Odom Sr., Diane Johnson Rothwell, Stephen Garrick, Manny Fuller, Howard A. Jones, Brandon Young. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Be young in there.
So
Definitely Jared Howard.
Definitely. Yep, Jared Howard. Thanks for tuning in. So now, here's where we're moving. I want to do a quick recap of a lot of what we talked about last week. We did like a scouting report of, what you might see as characteristics of the tenured in many of our churches and characteristics of, the skilled or talented in many of our churches. So I want to run down this and then we're going to make our way to, today's bullseye. Let's say it that way.
Oh boy.
All right. So starting with the skilled talent or scouting report on the skilled. Expertise in their field is among the top 20 in their geographical area. Sought after by many in their area for their expertise. Reliability when it comes to their physical presence to be determined as a church might see it. That's unknown or that's not familiar with them. Reliability in communication to be determined. Invested in the ministry to be determined, and remember that one, that invested part. Now, the skilled, they can also be considered to have a very shallow scope. Shallow scope meaning their scope of understanding and what's important, what they value. They're looking only in their area and not much consideration of the other adjacent areas. And then they can also be considered to be impulsive and combative. All right. Now, impulsive, it really comes into play when we're talking about decision making. Because that's an adjective you would, most likely put alongside of, making decisions in terms, particularly surrounding finance.
Right.
All right. Now, scouting report for the tenured. Considered reliable in presence, again, from the lens of their own church. Considered reliable in communication. Considered invested in the ministry. And they're considered to prioritize the best interests of their church. Now, generally speaking, their expertise has little to no proximity to the ministry area they're trusted with.
Right.
And then they often prioritize method over results.
That one right there.
And yeah, we had a real good discussion about that, and what we see a lot there.
Yes.
Now, I asked some questions last week in terms of, okay, when you talk about the tenured or the trusted voice,
right,
when it comes to decision making, again, more commonly in our churches, one of the questions I asked was, there was a time where the tenure didn't have any tenure. How did they acquire it? You know, a follow-up question was, okay, well, what's the plan when the tenure gets their wings, meaning they're called home?
Right.
Then what's the plan of now putting someone else in that place? So here's the question today. The question today is, it seems to me, and I think we touched on this a little bit last week, and I want your thoughts here, Jay. It also seems to me that in many cases, the tenured and the skilled not only are not the same people, but there doesn't really look like any plan to merge those together so that they're not always a separate entity. That doesn't seem very common.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on why, it seems like the skilled are never trusted to the point of being the tenured?
Man, look.
Or let me not say never, or rarely.
Rarely, right. In most cases. Like oil and water, man. A lot of times they just don't mix. And mostly because the tenured usually come from a place of financial decision making, when the skilled come from a place of creativity and possible growth. But if growth is not what's on the table, then most of the time it's a headbutt.
Hold your thought real quick, because I want to throw this back at you.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, you made a statement. You said many times the tenured are tithers.
Very true. And there it is. And so when you look at it, the people who are going to make the final decision more likely are going to be whoever is tithing. We hold importance like any other separate. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, man. I got it on, brother. Shout out to Mu Alpha Gamma.
Yep.
So most of the time it's a headbutt because they're coming from the tenure is coming from a financial standpoint. They want to grow.
Yeah.
But as you said, they prioritize the method over results. And they want you to bring their method, to work their method, but get your result.
Yeah. Pels, I'm coming your way in a second.
Go for it.
Now, real quick. They want you to get the desired result, not with your method. They know your skill. They got that part.
Yeah.
But we want you to make bacon out of these potatoes. We know we got potatoes.
Yeah.
They're good potatoes too, but we want bacon.
Yeah.
We need you, since we couldn't do it, we need you as the chef that we're paying to find a way to make this look like what it's not.
Can I add something to that with your bacon and potatoes analogy? Let me add something to that. You said a lot of times they're looking for you to make bacon with the potatoes. Here's what I also see. I also see they don't want the bacon. You're the one that's suggesting, okay, let's also have the bacon. They say, okay, you can have the bacon as long as you make it with the potatoes.
Yeah. Right. That. You can have
we don't have a problem necessarily with what you want.
With
we do have a problem giving you the resources
to
get what you're suggesting.
Right.
That's what that analogy is saying.
Now here's the other part though. The tenured says, we got the money. We're not short.
Yeah.
We got the bread. We just believe that what you're saying and your profession, even though I know you,
Pels, please put that up.
even though I know you can do it, even though we know it will get us the result, but we still want to see if you can work with these potatoes and make this bacon. No, we don't want you. It'll be too easy for us to get the pig.
Yeah.
We can afford the pig.
So, Pels, I'm coming to you, but I want to throw this in real quick because you brought up, I put it back to you in terms of the tenured tithers.
Yeah.
So then I guess one might also ask the question, okay, well, what happens, or is there a difference, or do we see a change of approach when the skilled are also tithers?
Most of the time, no. See, here's the thing. Like any club, whoever is who's been there the longest and who pays the most.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Pels, you got something you wanted to throw in there?
No, so you know what? I'm gonna add this. It's amazing that we go back and forth, right, with some of this stuff. And okay, look, I said the exact words that Steven said, right? Where Steven said, and I like it. He said, why would you go back and forth with ministry with that type of culture? Okay. Yeah. If they can't pay you what is being asked, let the price be the price, move on. Maybe someone else can fill their need. Here's something that Jay threw out there, and I like it. And I'm gonna segue this to whatever you were talking about and what Irv is throwing out there.
Yeah.
What I find strange is I'm normally talking to musicians that are complaining about what a church doesn't understand, and I'm looking like, so why are you fighting with a church that doesn't understand? Move on, right? But what it goes to show is that there's a struggle. This is just my opinion, where you're throwing how great you are, right? And you're demanding a certain amount, but evidently there's a bunch of other ministries that know that it ain't worth paying you what you're actually worth.
Yeah.
Okay, rock with me on here. It goes back to, and I'm tying this right back to relationship, because the future of the health of the words and sounds as it pertains to churches is going to come through relationship, because everybody's not going to understand everybody. The matchups that I think that we have that's real bad is you have pastors, back to Darian's point, you have, or Jay, here it is, you got an organized ministry where all the powers that be don't know diddly squat about music. And their interpretation of I know is what they see online. And they don't know what it takes to get that online. So it's like me walking in and saying, Jay, you're my minister of music. Like, yo, we got to get them the ear things and the microphone in front of the keyboard player that don't sing, but he's not talking to the audience. And you like, yo, that's a back system, right? So to talk to all, and so everybody needs ear inputs. That's a whole nother system. And it costs X amount of $1,000. Oh, we don't have that in the budget. Okay, so how are we going to get it?
They don't have that to give to you.
And they don't know, but here's the thing. They don't even know, right, the actual why, other than we need it. Or the talented that they want says, I'll come in, you're going to pay me what I'm asking, but y'all don't have this. And then you say, well, Jay going to come over here, Darian, but Jay said we need in-ear monitors. And now all of a sudden, Darian looking like, so y'all couldn't give me an extra $50 a week, but y'all got money to get the in-ear monitor system. So all of this comes into, I'm landing a plane here, it comes into the relationship where I'm going to shout musicians out. Musicians have to be, because Jay put it out there, and Darren, you put it out there about, how about the talented, right, that has a tenureship mindset, and they are tithers, right? They're not stingy people. They're not begging you for a bank. They're saying, I'm worth every bit of $600 for the 2 hours you need of me and the rehearsals, whatever. I'm not moving on that. But you want me, and I am a tither. My wife will be to church with me, right? I will be on time. You can count on it. That whole thing together is about relationship. And then musicians can come to the table and understand, is this pastor musically inclined or not?
Yeah.
Because I'm helping y'all. Walk away from these pastors that are always talking music and you know daggone well they're not musically inclined.
Right.
If they don't give you a freedom on paper and say, here's my boundaries, right? I don't know sound. I've had pastors tell me, bruh, I don't know this, so I'm expecting you to do that. I'm going to drop a John Maxwell and I'm done. John Maxwell was at a church when he was still preaching. They had a meeting. They had all these people and they asked him 15,000 questions, everything down to what size shoe he wear. Mm-hmm. And when they got finished, he was like, all right, I got questions for y'all. And they was like, oh us? Yeah. He's like, yeah, I got some questions. Let me ask you a question. So as the pastor, when it snow or the leaves fall on the ground, are y'all expecting me to shovel the snow and do the leaves? Oh, no, you don't have to do that because you're a pastor. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, all right. So it would be like a musician saying, so this is a Hammond B3.
Yeah.
It needs to be oiled. It needs to be serviced. Do you expect me to do the scheduling?
Yeah.
Right? Or do you expect me to do the scheduling and just tell y'all how much it costs?
Yeah.
Right? Because if I make my money playing on this, I need it to work. So if I tell you that it's squeaking and it needs to be fixed, I don't want to hear no lip. You have to know from leadership, are they trying to be in that lane or are they giving you that space that's more than just the money alone? It's also understanding you're asking me to do this job. You scouted me out. I scouted you out and I'm saying, let's make this work. Let's define the terms of agreement from the jump going forward in the relationship.
I want to take everything you just said. And I want to springboard. I want to springboard real good because the biggest point being made today, I believe, is relationship is what breeds the access.
Yes. Yes.
Because watch this. Here's two main yet common realities that deter skillful musicians and creative personnel from investing themselves in a ministry. Two very common realities. One is access barriers. What I mean by that, they have limited access to true decision makers and decision-making conversations directly involving their area. They are kept out.
Yes.
We hear the terms above your pay grade.
That's right. Right.
You're on a need to know.
No basis. That's right. Yep.
That's
and
good.
please don't misunderstand me in terms of we're just talking about, access that the drummer should have. No. I'm talking directly about, people who are, you, like Pell said, you scouted me. You came after me to lead, and we always hear this word, transform your music department. So we talking management level. We're having a management level conversation here.
Right.
When I talk about access barriers, so that's number one, access barriers. You are kept out. You are kept away from the people, the influential people that make decisions, and you're kept out of the decision-making process and conversations that directly affect your area. Wow. And then here's the second reality. The second reality, which sounds similar, but it's a little different, it's a little nuanced, is information divides. What do I mean by that?
Break it down, man.
Those who may be listening, and you're like me, you're like Jay, you have experience being hired as a minister of music or, a very iteration of that, minister of music, director of music, whatever the case. You've been hired that. How many times have we been given a budget number for the entire ministry to make decisions in terms of how it is distributed?
Right. Right.
Does it happen? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not very common.
No, it's
at least
very
again
uncommon.
in our geographical area, the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware.
Yeah.
That's not very common.
I haven't heard of it.
On any type of scale. What is common?
Mm-hmm.
What's common is, all right, tell us what you need, give us a convincing proposal, then we'll decide if it's
right,
important and needed.
That's right. That's right.
Those are your two main realities that deter the music, the professional, the one with expertise. It deters us from investing in a ministry because those divides has to do with a lack of relationship.
Wow.
It's hard for you to project to us that, you're trying to establish a relationship that has, some personability, but we can't have access to these things and we can't have this particular information.
Wow.
That's a hard sell for us. And maybe, just maybe, minister, staff, pastors, finance boards hasn't heard it that way. Now, that does not absolve us from properly not only explaining, but giving value to what we are suggesting and requesting as it pertains to the church as a whole.
Right. Right.
That's going to be the key, the church as a whole. Not just the music ministry area.
Right.
All right. So
You got a third point?
Let me
No
pick
third?
up no third today.
Okay, all right.
I left the preacher hat at home today.
Okay. All right.
So Pels, let me go back to the in-ear system and the talkback system. That whole thing. All right. So, okay, depending on the amount of musicians you have, the positioning of where each musician is, we're not talking about, for some, or some situations, we're not talking about a want. We're talking about a need. If for whatever reason, the organ is on one side of the pulpit and the drums is on the other.
Yep.
Communication between those two without an in-ear system is difficult.
Or dang near impossible.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
So, Darren, you ready for this? And finish it up. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Brickhouse, Bishop Brickhouse in the building. Listen, here's the problem for some people. The issue is the tenure, right? A lot of times, and when we say tenure, the subword for that is traditional mindset. This the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
They don't connect the need to have it. Because again, I come from the Kevin Wilkins days of St. Joseph Baptist Church with the C11 organ with the curved pedals. That's the C11, right? With the curved pedals.
RT.
And the Leslies were up here.
Yep.
Not on the floor.
Up in the air.
Up in the air. Another church, I'll leave nameless, Leslie in the balcony in the back of the church.
Yep.
You no longer, anybody is cursed to put a Leslie more than 20 feet away from the organ at max. Woe be unto thee.
Yeah, but hold.
Go ahead.
But then
Go ahead,
the
Jay.
pastor needs his monitors up right in front of him, though.
Yo, I mean, Jay, but to the point, things have changed.
Yes,
and change is not always the best, but you have to be able to sort out what's necessary.
That's right.
So in other words, it's like arguing that a cell phone is bad. I don't see no 60, 70, 80-year-olds old, not even 90-year-olds arguing that they only want to use their landline.
Yep.
So I don't see nobody playing a floor model TV and a hi-fi unless it's a novelty retro situation going on.
There you go.
So when you say in-ear monitors is more so like if you're starting a church now, you literally need to take these things and you can't bring, well, back in my day, we didn't need, baby, back in our day, we ain't have air conditioning nor heaters.
Yeah.
So if I see you with an air conditioner or heater, bye.
Yeah.
So now that's the area of things have grown, things have changed, and there's the area of I don't know, so I need to know how to ask.
Yeah.
Right? So if I know how to ask, then I'm leaning into, and it goes back to what I keep saying, relationship is necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you as a leader are not skilled in certain areas, then you have to respect those areas for the sake of ministry.
There you go.
My keywords for the day is words and sound. If you are a pastor that know word and sound, and then okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
You also have to identify that even though I'm a Grammy Award winning producer, I don't know how to do half the things that these two guys know. Hear what I'm saying? There's some pastors, just because you played for the baby choir when you was a kid, it don't mean you understand being a musician today with skilled other people.
Yeah. And again, to that point, because I said this previous episodes, it's when we were talking about the whole, I hate when non-musical people make musical decisions. I put onus on the musical people to, present themselves, or at least their resources, as an accredited expert. So let me walk through this real quick. All right.
Walk it.
Because again, I put onus in this conversation. Relationship, everything. I still put onus when it comes to those musical needs. I put onus on the musical people to properly position the value as it pertains to the church as a whole.
Right.
Or at least as it pertains to the music ministry as a whole. Don't tell me you need a NORD just because you need a NORD.
Right.
That's not a reason.
Right. Right. Just because you like the way
Don't
they look. Right.
don't tell me you need a NORD just because every church got a NORD now, or a lot of the dope churches got a NORD. No, you have to present more value than that.
Right. Exactly.
You got to present more value. And the reason I bring up NORD, because those of us who are keyboard players knows it's a boutique brand. It costs more than pretty much any other keyboard on the market.
Right.
It is the equivalent, if you're looking at car makes, it is the equivalent of Rolls Royce.
Right.
So, okay, what else is the value there?
See, I ain't even know that.
Other than you like Nords.
Yes.
You see everybody up. Present the value and the value to the music ministry as a whole. In my profession as a sound technician, when I walk into a church, I am assessing the equipment that they have. And I'm pointing out, okay, well, when I look at the mixing console, does it have enough channels for what you all are doing? If it has enough channels, how many channels are free? If you only got 2 free channels, you need to be considering upgrading the board now, because your needs are going to grow in terms of channel count, mics. That's going to grow very quickly. Yeah, right now you're good.
Right.
At the same time, you need to be considering upgrading to something that has more capacity. But I'm not just suggesting a new mixing console just because the one they got is old. That you need something new. No. Why else do we need it? So I wanted to take a lot of time to put the onus on the musical people when it comes to that area of decision making. Know what you're talking about and know how to present the value, so that even if in most instances where the finance people have to pretty much they have to sign the check.
Right.
They have to sign the check, but because of how it's presented, there can be no second guessing. There can be very little second guessing. And it wasn't just this is what we want. There's more explanation that comes with that.
Has to be more than that.
But,
No. Why you put that up?
Yeah.
You know she gonna say something.
But real quick, going back to the access barriers and the information divides. Again, it is for the musical professional that is looking. First comment we started off with, it was a pastor talking about he's looking to develop covenant.
Yeah.
So, in the same way, for the music professional that's looking to invest themselves in a ministry, access barriers and information divides, lack relationship, it's not attractive.
Yeah.
It's not attractive to want to invest themselves in.
Right.
It's just not.
Yes, and that's the truth, you know. And you'll know what type of mindset that the pastor is in when you need something. I've had a situation where another keyboard was needed,
Mm-hmm.
and the next question they asked me was, "Can I get that at Radio Shack?"
If you can find a Radio Shack.
First of all, if you even have to say Radio Shack in the first place, I realize you need my help more than you think.
Yeah.
The second point I realize is you're not trying to spend that much money.
Mm-hmm.
The third point I realize is that instead of trusting what I'm telling you, you've already made it up in your mind.
Yeah.
That you're going to just go out and get what you think.
Yeah.
I need.
Or have you ever gotten the question, well, okay, I saw something in Sam Ash for $400.
Mm-hmm.
Can't that do the same thing that what you're recommending at $2,000 can do?
Now, and the short answer, yes. Because let's be honest, the short answer, yes, but no. They don't understand that though.
Yeah.
You know.
So again, this is us doing research. Even if I spent some time working at Guitar Center. So obviously for me, I have a different position here. But if you spend some time researching, then you can explain, okay, listen, there are some things, and we're talking about keyboards, in certain price ranges, that's really, the quality of it is made for home practice.
Yes.
Not for stage.
Right.
Because anything you look at in that price range, brand new. That's what the intention of the design is.
Right. And it's meant to last for a certain amount of time.
Correct.
But anything that's in the 400 range, now you're talking about home practice.
There you go.
Which means, what is it, light duty?
Yep.
That's not heavy duty. That's not meant for on stage heavy play.
Yep.
It's meant for practice. And so you want to get me something for practice.
Yep.
Just the same way is if you're buying a cheap set of headphones, you're going to notice the difference between a really good set and a cheap set.
Yeah.
But can it do the same thing? Well, yes and no.
Does it have a piano sound? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Well,
does it have a piano sound for church? No, it doesn't.
No. And that's the part of trying to get through to them. Yeah. Because they're like, well, if it's a piano. And then they pull this, well, if you're as gifted as you say you are.
Yeah. And what that brings up is the point is that even with doing the research and presenting the value properly, even in that sometimes, many times, the person you're talking to, unfortunately, has convinced themselves based off of what they think.
So it's no matter what you say now. No matter, you could have a solid argument. You could have a solid discussion. You could have a solid base on being correct.
Yep.
And they don't know you're correct.
So
go ahead.
All right, holler if you hear what I'm saying or you see where I'm coming from. Just say in the comment section, Pelzer, I see where you going. I've seen instances, or I've been in positions where the money was real good.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the ministry like, this gonna be the same thing while I'm here and after I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And the money's so good right now, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna do my little bit, take it and go.
Yeah.
Now here's the problem. I am a creative. So I can't be somewhere that's not moving forward when you can, or thinking forward even if you can't.
Yeah.
So it's no way. I'm not judging church saying, oh, y'all got bad mics. This ain't for me. I need to know, are you trying to get better mics?
Bells, I see where you going.
Right. So this comes back to relationship. And I'm shouting these two guys out behind me and most of the people that I know. And the ones that aren't there, I don't talk bad about them. I try to help them and say, I pull them aside and say like, yo, let's just be honest. The paper good, but Jay, to your point, you stretching from rent to rent, car note to car note, that's not a good look. And sooner or later, right, this type of church may find a better talent than you, right, and trade you off because, to Darian's point, they're not musically inclined.
Yeah.
So they don't know. So they're just like, I seen this, and the kid was playing that in that store, and he had these chops, and now they starting to look at you like, with the money we paying you, now you're expendable.
Yeah.
And if you haven't built the relationship, they don't feel obligated to find you a place, even though they're trying to take in new talent. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to trade you like the NBA and think nothing of it. So here's the whole place I'm going. We have to be careful, musicians. I'm talking from the musician side. Eric, you see where I'm going? You have to be careful to align yourself with something that you don't see just because the money good.
Yeah.
And then you have to trust yourself enough to say, Lord, where are you leading me to add value to something that's not so far ahead? Then you got to know, if I'm great, talented, weak, but I need to build tenure, I have the opportunity to blend in somewhere where I can grow. Other people, you said it last week, you've grown to a certain extent that now you've reached a max where you are. No love lost, because you and that pastor had a great relationship, but it's time to move on. You and your family move into another part of town. Now where you go next, are you sent to Zarephath to help somebody? Or are you sent somewhere to be helped? You have to know the difference, and you have to get to a place where, yes, money answereth all things, but the love of money is the root of all evil. So now I'm going to take the check. I'm worthy of the hire, but in some places you're here because, yes, that ministry's helping you, but other places you're helping the ministry. But either place, you're not sold just on the money, right? Get the money part out of it. Be up front. Say, look, my rent is, and I need $500 a week. If y'all can't meet that, maybe you got a solution to something I can help with. Maybe that church has people in there that'll help your business make more than what the church could ever pay you. Like, think, people. And when you think like that, it all comes down to relationship. Because if you keep doing it without relationship whatsoever, you are going to have a fellowship, like fall, F-A-L-L, fellowship, right? Because you're going to fall if you don't seek the fellowship. Understand the difference between that. So to me personally, you end up having churches that you can identify, they ain't trying to go nowhere. Don't become part of the problem. Only become part of the solution. And then know, if you don't have a relationship with the head of that ministry, you ain't changing nothing. The trustee's only gonna write the check. But if they not the leader's gonna have the final say so. And any pastor, this is just crazy with me, any pastor that don't sit down with you, get to know you and your family, stay away. I'm sorry, because you just an employee and you are going to be easily replaceable.
And
very true.
To what you just said, Pels, 1000% agree. I think we also, at least the music community, while I agree that, understand, what you're getting into and avoid what is in essence dead end.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid it. We want those churches, and we want the people that are decision makers in those churches. We want them to hear this conversation at the same time.
Exactly.
We want them to hear this conversation and get involved in the conversation.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because there may be something we don't see.
At the same time, you got to understand your threshold.
Yes.
And to Pell's point, don't try to put the square in the triangle.
Right.
Don't try to do it.
Wow.
Don't try to do it. Have an understanding. Take some time to really not only investigate but to observe.
Yes.
Before you just sign off because the money good. But we at the same time we want,
and be honest, Darren, say we've been there before.
Oh yeah, we've
been there. Sometimes you in a crunch.
Yep.
But at least be honest with yourself. And if it works out for the better, cool. But if it doesn't, at least you wasn't don't take the money and feel like God just left you and that wasn't just your through. Because then you start hanging around and you're the problem with your talent.
Yeah. And another thing I would say is don't and this is going to be kind of a relationship anecdote. Don't just take the money in hopes.
Come on.
In hopes
it is.
that you are going to be the instant agent of change.
Right.
And you're going to get them to do a whole 180. That's the other thing. Don't lead yourself to believe that. Don't lead yourself to believe that.
It ain't happening.
Now, real quick, we got a few minutes. I got to go back to something you said.
Yeah.
In terms of the church sometimes can be like that club where the persons or people that pay the most money.
You heard of the golden rule, right?
What's the golden rule?
Whoever has the gold makes the rule.
There you go. So I want to go back to that comment, and because it again it's something we see common, and I have to ask this question because most churches won't admit that that's the case.
Yes,
but we know different in many. So my question here: what makes that different from the musician chasing the bag? What makes it different from the musician that is hopping for an extra $75, just looking? It's the same thing in a reverse concept.
Yeah.
So the church with the club mentality and the people who, the biggest givers, their voice has the weight. They decide.
Yes.
They sign off. They say yes or no because of how much they give.
That's right. Yep.
It on the reverse, you got the music person that, they got a great skill set. They're in demand. And so they're like, I didn't encounter these churches before. So since y'all gonna operate like that, okay, cool. Who got the biggest bag?
That's right. And for them, I'll put more time into them than I will this other church. Even though you don't want to be a part of any of them, but I'll put more time into them because they're paying me another $100 extra than you guys are.
Yep.
So you're right. How is that different? It's really not.
How is that any different? So it's almost like, again, you're enabling what you criticize.
Wow.
Okay. Again, y'all, I know we got to wrap up, but this cycles back around to relationship, sitting down at the table and talking about it.
Yep.
I'm looking at this table behind me, and like we said, we're going to bring preachers to the table. We're going to bring, and like Darren, you add another element. Let's bring those middle people to the table. Let's bring them to the table as well too. Like how do you feel like we would have talked to some trust? I never forget my trustee. I said, yo, I want to get this person. And when they found out, they were like, why you pay these musicians this much?
Yeah.
And dude was like, yo, I need to start reading music. Cause I'd love to get this check on Sundays. Cause I'm like, if this all I gotta do. And it was almost not a stab at me, but a challenge at me. That's like, yo, we're not arguing what the musician wants to get paid. But let's be honest. We don't even have rehearsals. So they just walking in on Sunday morning like, you know how to play so-and-so? Yeah, let's do that. It's like, and we paying them the same. Now, the other church paying them the same amount we paying, but they got to show up on Wednesday night for an hour for rehearsal, and they keep giving them new songs. Yeah. We like, well, because our praise team ain't really trying to rehearse. You just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I think that a lot of times what happens is we don't bring the whole party to the table.
There you go.
So there's church. I'm telling you, I'm not putting people's info out there, but the pastor I talked to on Sunday, I applaud him. Like, and it's like, yo, and it was funny because he said it like, I might be one of the few people that do it, not the only people, but it's like I have Bible study with the musicians, number one. And we have talks, not just go out to Brazilian steakhouse and all of that. They be like, oh, my pastor take me out to Eddie V's. Negro, sit down somewhere. Yeah. I'm talking about let's just meet up at D'Alessandrio's, or you want to go to the game and we talk and say, how's everything going? Yeah. Is my people acting right? They are people, but is the people's acting right at rehearsal? Is it anybody acting weird towards you? Cool, soft touch, let me go holler at them and remind them, yo, they're in charge. Yeah. Listen to them. Sometimes musicians need to back up and saying like, yo, if you don't have a relationship, you fighting with people that's like, yo, it's the pastor's problem. And you fighting their problem that you ain't getting paid the pastor's salary to put out the fires in rehearsal. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The issue with sometimes worship leaders and stuff, they don't go to no Bible study or no Sunday school, nothing like that. No. They just walking in like, yo, I'm singing and you're more dedicated. They ain't put nothing in the plate. You're tithing. Yeah. Right? And the other thing y'all mentioned about tithers, it's not always the tithers that come to the table if you're a tither too. If you're a giver too. So now we ain't having we're not having a pissing match on who put the most in the plate. Yeah. Because tithing, if we into it, is 10%. So if you 10% or above it, then whatever my 10% is, whether you a millionaire, I make 100,000 a year, we're both doing the same. Yep. So now we got that out the way. So now we ain't talking about who put the more money in the thing, because the church is using my keyboard every Sunday, my NORD. Yeah. And I'm not complaining about it, and y'all could be renting it. Yeah. So let's not start all of that. And to your defense, you bought waters in because you got extra. Yeah. So we're not doing all of that. Let's get back down to what is needed. There you go. Because here's what we're missing out of all of this, and this is why a show like this is needed. Yes. Because the words and sounds affect all of the people in the pews.
There you go. There you go.
So how can we have disconnect in the areas of words and sounds when you have people that walk in that are relying on the words and the sounds? Yeah. And after that service is over, the ministry itself is word first, not sound first. Correct. And if it's word first, then the entire congregation has an obligation to find their path into the word unplugged. Yeah. And if that is with one accord, then we knock out all of these problems. I'm going to say this. We knock out them problems. Me from scratch, it may sound like I think I know everything, but this one thing I know. If we are with one accord, the same way it was in the book of Acts and the movement of the church, if we find that place, I don't care if it takes 5 years in a new ministry. Yeah. You have to seek for that. Then you have to be honest about what you don't know and what you can't handle and what's not meant for you to handle. Yeah. The whole thing in Acts was, we need you to find 7 among you with experience to put out the fires so that we can do this. Yep. They didn't say we don't know how to do that. They said so we can do this. Yep. Right? And if that be the case, even when you deal with the slight divide with, was it Paul and Peter? And it's like, yo, you deal with them and I'll deal with them. It was still for one accord. Yeah. So sometimes you can be in church, right? And you may have Gentiles and devout Jew. You may have devout Jews and Gentiles in your church.
Yeah.
You have to know how to delegate, right? So that you don't have this destructional problem.
Yeah.
And so if you aren't the pastor that knows how to deal with the Jews and the Gentile, you got to look amongst you and say, you know what? One of these two is going to deal with them Gentiles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
and here's where the agenda is. It's about the cross. Cephas, all of them, one man plants, another water, God adds the increase. We got to know where the water, we got to know if you going to plant, or we got to know if you holding the hose.
Yeah.
Which one you doing?
Yeah.
And that takes relationship. So sometimes the whole idea of word and sounds is there's one that's planting and one that's watering.
Yeah.
So the pastor planting seed, working the word, and the whole music department is watering.
Yeah.
But if we both recognize that God adds the increase, then the two of us got to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And so we can no longer continue to slide in the door how much y'all paying. If you ain't trying to be a part of this ministry, no. Shout out to Austin Woodland. I'm going to throw it out there because it's not a secret. Because you'll look on the internet and you'll be like, I just saw him at E9. I see him at Buster's church. That is worked out. And because it's worked out, he is serving at both ministries. I ain't trying to discuss nobody's business. I'm pretty sure he's getting paid at both ministries. But his character allows him to serve at both and add value to both ministries without confusion.
Amen.
Right. And there it is.
So listen, I want to take 4 minutes, tops, precursor for next week.
Yeah.
Go.
And I'm pulling something you said, Pelzer, when you talked about some people, finance, trustee or whatever, and they're like, we pay the musicians that much.
They're not musical people.
That's how much we paying them.
Not musical.
So Jay, I want you to close us out, but here's the precursor. They won't say this. They will not say this, but here is the thought. Although they won't say it, the thought is that musical professional, keyword professional, that musical professional is not viewed equal to the profession of someone who is, say, a city worker, someone who works in nursing, an electrician.
Right.
They won't say this, but this is the perspective.
That's right.
Particularly when you hear stuff like that. We pay them that much. We're not the profession. Us professionals, we're not looked at evenly on the same playing field.
Yeah.
Why is that? In your opinion? And we out.
Okay. About to make some people mad.
Brick House said right there.
Now,
Tune it up, Jay.
we're still in Black History Month, right?
Yeah, it's the last day.
Yep.
Today's the last day.
Last day.
So I have, a little something for Black History. Slave owners used to use the Bible to control the mind of the slaves. However, they didn't. They only preached and shouted out the verses that were good for them to get the desired result.
Out of context.
I believe that a lot of times that's certain pastors have used that same technique on musicians.
Absolutely.
Now, how many of y'all ever heard the phrase, when we grow, you grow?
My.
I don't know that there's a musician that's played in church at least 5 years that has not heard that.
I have yet to meet a musician that has said to me, hey, when they grew, I grew too.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to meet one. I don't know if y'all met one. I've never met one that actually said, hey, they were true to what they said.
Mm-hmm.
They also said from scripture, hey, you should give your gifts to the Lord because it's blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
It says it in the word.
Mm-hmm.
So pastors have also used some of the ones that I've met.
Yeah.
Scripture to control the mind
Mm-hmm.
and the spirit.
Yep.
I've had a pastor tell me, if you don't play here, you're going to die in 6 months. Now, that was when I was 18. I'm 42 now.
Interesting.
So, obviously, that wasn't the case. But I almost got scared because I was just like, wow, I better serve Massa then. I better stay here. But I said all that to say one of the reasons why it's not trusted is because we have a history. The history has shown untrustworthiness. It's a history there. It's not something that just happened overnight.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, it's from both parties.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just from one side. I can't blame pastors. I can't blame musicians. But the history of them, and check this out. I'm going to say this and we're going to get out the way. There's 168 hours in a week.
You linked in for this one.
Yeah.
I just noticed out of all that time you sitting back, you linked in. Go ahead, talk, sir.
I'm just noticing how everything that we talk about has only a 4-hour period in a week that we hone in on from 11 to about 3.
Yeah.
Which also says why some of the tension has been in our field. There is no overtime. In most professions, you can do afternoon, evening, graveyard shift.
Yeah.
You can do other shifts, not in our profession.
Nope.
The real money is between 10 and 2. So when you see a lot of us, the musicians, and a lot of pastors scrambling and can't get it together, you're talking about a 4-hour period out of a week that everybody is focused on and scrambling and can't get together. This time costs you $600 between these 4 hours, but 3 to 5 costs you $1.
Shout out to some more people watching: Joanne Barnett, Donna Price,
Come on,
Melvin N. Allen,
Gracious.
Richard Tubbs Smith,
man.
Mom Pelzer, hey, Nick Hill. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Next week we got an in-studio guest, and I'm not telling you who it is just yet. You're gonna want to be tuned in.
Tune in, y'all.
You are gonna want to be tuned in as we unravel the next series.
Oh man, what's that?
Red Flags.
Ooh. Y'all ready for this?
Between Sundays, I'm D. Brister.
I'm Jay Morris.
Take us away, pals.
Okay, I'm not even gonna talk, y'all. I'm just gonna leave out on this bridge. Tune in next week, y'all. That's just rough.
I had to say what I had to say, man. At the end, man, I just,
Oh yeah,
it's amazing, man.
oh yeah.
Jeez.
Shout out to Sonya Wine.
Yeah.
Baby, if you don't play for me, you'll be dead in 6 months.
Bruh,
Okay, you gonna be dead in 6 months.
I had it happen, brother.
Joe.
Joe, it happened, bro. Look. That's what he told me. Oh man.
Speaks. What's going on? Eric Charles, Donna Price, Robert Brickhouse.
Yeah.
Joe Amen TV. I see you over there. Angel Mars giving the love shout out over there. I see you.
Yeah.
What she say?
Stay the secular word away.
John Turner, what's going on?
Pastor Brian Knight, good to see you, man.
Brian Knight, my
That's
man.
it. That's the brother right there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The person who played this is going to be here. That's all I'm telling y'all. That's all I'm telling you. Listen. Musicians, hold it close to your ears. Listen. Listen to left hand. Here it go. It's the left hand for me right here.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
Oh.